and welcome to the actual first Post-Grad Survival Guide Podcast episode. I am Tom Kugler, your host. Today we have on Tiffany Sun, who is a top writer on Medium with 20,000 followers as of this moment. She writes for top publications such as The Writing Cooperative and The Mission, and she is an incredible person who's currently digital nomading across Southeast Asia by herself, working and traveling at the same time. Woman after my own heart, really. You're about to listen to our whole conversation together about her life after college and leading up to this. It's quite an incredible story and inspiring. If you want to know more about Tiffany, just visit our website, thepostgradsurvivalguide.com. Again, thepostgradsurvivalguide.com, and you'll be able to see our blog post with any relevant links and anything else we want to highlight in there. So without further ado, here is Tiffany Sun. I hope you enjoy our conversation together. Bye-bye. All right, so good morning, everybody. Well, actually, no, it's evening now. Sorry. Well, it's good. It's morning for you, Tiffany, because you're in Taiwan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. This is the first episode of the Post-Grad Survival Guide podcast. I have my friend Tiffany Sun on. This is the first time I've talked to Tiffany, but I have been reading your stuff for a very long time. I'm just quite jealous of you over on Medium because you have so many followers and you're very popular over there. So, take that for what it's worth, Tiffany.
You have quite a lot of followers too, Thomas. I just checked, and you got 12.3K, and last time you told me you got 11.5K last week. So, that's huge.
Yeah. Well, it's everybody wins over there on Medium. So, but you have so much experience over there. You've written for The Mission, the Writing Cooperative, and Personal Growth, to name a few. So Tiffany is a bit of a digital nomad. She's been working and traveling in Asia for a little bit here, and I wanted to have her on the show just to talk about her experiences as a young person. So Tiffany, I just wanted to really quick, we're going to work backwards. Okay. So I wanted to, So where are you at right now? What are you doing right now? Just give us a little window into your life.
Okay. So right now I am working in Taiwan, and I'm working on a project with a partner, and we're making a Medium tool. It's actually hasn't been live yet, but we're pushing it through. It's called perfect.blog. And wow. Basically people are able to find their favorite writers and just kind of like bookmark it, There's always been a problem on Medium where people really want to hear from their favorite writers, but when they go to the Medium homepage, they just get the most popular top Medium writers, but in reality they actually just want to hear from smaller writers that fit more of their reading preferences. So that's why we're making this tool to help people get in touch with their favorite writers better.
Wow.
Basically.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I'm working on right now. But on the side, I'm still writing for myself and just growing my own blog and my voice. So yeah. And so far that's going pretty well because I just got into the Mission a week or two ago. And that was pretty huge for me because I used to submit so many stories to them, but I never got any response. So really happy right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. The way that I got into the Mission was I basically bugged Chad Grills on Twitter nonstop. I kept tweeting him week after week. I sent him an article and I was like, can you just give me feedback? It's okay if you don't accept it, just give me feedback. And I bugged him so much that he was like, all right, you can come on, right here whenever you want to.
Oh, so he just finally got fed up with you, which is sure, why not? Bring him on board.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So, but Tiffany, so talk about your travels, where you've been the past couple months.
So most of the time I've been in Taiwan, but I also been to Malaysia and Thailand and Vietnam, Singapore too. And actually next month I'm going back to Thailand and going to a bunch of other Southeast Asia countries. So it's going to be my next big trip. So I'm pretty excited to share my experience there with everyone.
Yeah. That's awesome. So we've covered, what you're doing right now. I wanted to jump into college. What did you go to school for? And, what was kind of like your general college experience like?
Okay, so I just went to college with the basic understanding that if I get a degree, I'll have a really good job. It's something that doesn't really turn out as you expect after you graduate from college because once you're out of college and you start finding a job and really building yourself towards the lifestyle that you want, it's very different. Like you don't use much of your school experience for your job.
It's funny, Tiffany, because like when I got out of college, I went to school for marketing. I, graduated. I fully thought I would get a job in marketing, but then I started freelance writing and
Oh,
kind of just fell into that. And I was never formally educated in writing at all. I've kind of had to teach myself how to navigate this whole thing. So it's been a little weird. So one thing also, because we're talking about college, one of my biggest challenges after graduation was even finding a job in general. And a lot of people have their own challenges after school. One thing I wanted to ask was, like, what was one of your biggest challenges after you graduated?
so one of my biggest challenges was pretty much like finding my own direction because before I used to be in a relationship with an ex for 9.5 years. And so right after college, we went to China together. And while I didn't speak Chinese fluently, and by the way, I am Chinese American, like I could only be like an English teacher there. And so it wasn't something I was thrilled to teach or to do. But it was just something that could pass the time while my ex just did his own work. And then right after we got back to the U.S., we eventually just kind of separated, broke up, and then I just had to start from scratch again. At the time, I was 25 years old or so. Mid-20s, and I did not have I didn't have a nice looking resume. It was really terrible with lots of gaps of time of like nothing. And and so another hard part was trying to find a good job. But with the little experience that I had, I just applied for something basic. So I got into a server job, which anyone could apply to, and did that for about a year. And then afterwards, I just thought like I couldn't see myself working there for, the next 5 years or 10. I mean, they did ask me, you could be like a manager there. It was at a Japanese barbecue restaurant, but I didn't see myself there. So I decided to jump to another job, which was a recruiter. And I did that for about 4.5 months before realizing that I kind of plateaued. I learned everything on the spot, and it just started getting boring to me. So that was the time when I had to transition again. And while I was just kind of getting frustrated with my whole life and not knowing like where I was going, a good friend of mine, he was working at a startup, said, there was a role that I could take as a marketer. And I thought that was a pretty interesting job. Like I never did marketing like what you learned in college, Thomas, but I thought it would be a really good skill in life. And considering that this was a startup, I was really excited because it would be totally different from like the 9 to 5 job. I heard a lot of stories about startups, and so I decided just to try it out because I figured if I jump to a startup early on in my life, and let's just say, shit falls to the ground and, things don't work out, I could always jump back to my old job or like get somewhere that's the same level or better. That's how I thought. So, I just, went with the startup and started loving that kind of lifestyle, that entrepreneur lifestyle.
That's so awesome. Yeah, you've had quite the journey. It's really inspiring. I remember reading about your relationship because you're very open about that. You've written about that a couple times. I remember reading
Oh,
about.
was it the How Love Fucked My Career? That
Yes,
one?
yes, that one was great. So your story, thank you so much for going into your story. It was a very awesome, a documentation of what you've been doing the past couple of years. So you just like dipped out and went to travel and kind of be a digital nomad for a bit. So go into that decision, like what just kind of led to that? I'll just say that.
Okay. So yeah, I've been living with my parents after I broke up with my ex, and so I never really get any privacy to myself. And every time I try to work somewhere, which is either my house or at the office that my startup group goes to,
Yeah.
it just feels very like crammed, and I feel like my freedom is a little bit restricted, and it's not a very good feeling, when you're going through this every single day. And to add to that, there was a lot of work responsibilities I had to take care of. So for my startup, even though I was a marketer, I had to take care of like clients, customer service, writing, and it was a lot of work. And a lot of times I got burnt out, and I would get this several times a month, actually, like really bad ones, and it would just make me want to just not do anything. But it doesn't feel good not doing anything because I just feel so unproductive, and I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Am I really happy
Yeah.
here? Like, is this really how life is supposed to feel like every day? And it was to a point where I just couldn't stand it anymore. Being stuck at home at my parents' place, and not having my own freedom, and then going to work at the usual hours, like morning till evening, and
Yeah.
like there's no excitement or nothing like that. So it gets boring pretty fast. Like when you're living in a place, you just want to go somewhere else. Now I
Yes.
know why people want to bounce to somewhere else over the weekend, because it's like a break from the lifestyle that they're living in right now. So,
Yes.
and so yeah, I just wanted to get out from my home and the office, and just Silicon Valley in general,
Yeah.
and go somewhere else. And so I chose Southeast Asia.
Wow. Yeah, Tiffany, I feel that same way right now. Actually, it's kind of crazy. That's what kind of why I left in the first place, to travel the country a bit. I spent 4 months away, and I'm feeling that so much right now. I got back around this time last year, and I've just been writing all day. I've been living with my parents, similar to you, and I'm basically just trying to make a go of everything. And I feel that a lot of the same feelings you just did. Like, I feel kind of cramped. I feel like I don't have that much freedom. I feel like I should be somewhere else. I feel like I should be traveling more. I should be, I don't know, broadening my horizons a bit, if you will. So I don't have too many questions left, Tiffany. You've done great. I just one thing I wanted to talk about was kind of like your writing journey. Like, I almost kind of want to know how you got started on Medium. Like kind of, and any breakthroughs that you kind of went through. Like, one of my breakthroughs was getting on the mission. That was a huge breakthrough for me.
Oh yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, after you trying to tweet Chad so many
yeah,
times, I could imagine.
yeah. Now
Like,
everyone's
oh my
gonna
god,
now everyone
finally!
yeah. Now everyone's gonna tweet Chad Grills, and he's gonna be like, what the heck is going on with all of this? So, you
Yeah, he
know.
probably got spammed by a lot of people, so he's just like, whatever, I'm just gonna start letting people in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, take that for
Yeah.
what it is. But anyway, yeah. So, any like notable stories about how you got started on Medium or anything like that?
Yeah. So when I was working for my startup, this was for Rabbit initially.
Mhm.
I was supposed to do marketing, and part of marketing is to do content writing. So there was a friend of mine that said, "Oh yeah, Tiffany, there's Medium, a new platform, and this could be a good potential, growth for your business." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I never heard of Medium." So I checked it out, and I'm like, "Wow, this is a really clean, neat platform,"
Yeah.
and I really started to like it. But I actually did not like writing itself, because when I started writing, it was kind of like mumbled jumble kind of stuff. Like my thoughts were everywhere and I just couldn't pinpoint like what I wanted to say. And so, every time I wrote up a draft and I sent it to my team and I'm like, could you give me feedback on this? They would be like, they look at the first paragraph and they'd be like, wait, like this isn't good enough. Like this doesn't make sense. Like, and they send it back to me and I'm like, oh God. And it was so frustrating because I just couldn't get it down. And after I rewrite a draft for, I don't know, more than 10 times, like, and it's still not good enough, I would still keep going because, deep down inside, I wanted to improve and show my team and everybody else that I could do something that I don't really like and make it into, a profession and make it into like one of my specialties. Wow. And so every day I just force myself to write 30 minutes, like every day, just keep going. It doesn't matter if I'm tired or I'm sick. I'm just going to sit down, grab my laptop and just type whatever that I'm thinking of. Yeah. And I feel like eventually this helped me practice a lot to the point where I started writing personal stories because I felt like this was something more of my niche. And that story that you read, the How Love Fucked My Career, that was actually my first biggest life lesson story that I wrote. That was the most personal one. Yeah. And so I'm actually really glad that you read it and you thought of me to, invite me to this podcast. And, this just made a big difference in my writing, like writing that personal story because, back then on Medium, like I'm not sure when you started on Medium, but I started in the end of 2016. Wait. Wow. No, end of 2015.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, something like that. I'm trying to think.
That's why you have all those followers.
Yes, exactly.
No, you're an amazing writer. That's why.
Yeah, and so like after I wrote that big story, and I got so many people, commenting on. I got so many people commenting below and supporting me for what I have been through. It just really sparked something in me, and I felt like I wanted to do more writing because it made an effect on people. Yeah. And it just also opened my feelings and my voice, which I never used to have before. So, writing was a really good way for me to personally grow and to share with people what I'm going through. So I'm hoping with my life lessons that I'm writing for Medium as of now, that it would make a huge difference in their lives. And one of them is, trying to live a life that you want. And that could include being a digital nomad or just, sticking with your 9-to-5 job, just whatever you like. Yeah. But making it work for you.
Yeah. That's I could talk to you about writing all day. That's a lot. I echo a lot of your same thoughts. It's kind of incredible how the more that you open up, the more that people really respond to it. And I don't know. It's just kind of like this weird ironic thing. Like you never would have thought that by showing weakness, that would turn into a strength. And in every other place, showing weakness is kind of not a great thing. But when you're writing, I don't know, it's just, or when you're being creative at all, I think is kind of like the only place that showing weakness is like, is a great thing.
Yeah.
I could be wrong about it. I could be just like not really thinking about that straight, but I'm thinking, you know what I mean? And so many people try to put airs on, they try to be professional. They try to like show all their best stuff on social media. And, like they try to make it seem like they're this awesome person, but with writers, we have to constantly combat some of our toughest stories, some of our toughest moments of our life. And the more that we do that, the stronger we become and the more we kind of inspire others. And obviously you've done that, you've done that over on Medium. And it is an incredible feeling. Like for anybody listening that doesn't write, like I would do what Tiffany did and just get your butt in the seat and write 30 minutes a day and see what happens, and like you might end up loving it, and you might end up like getting used to
Yeah.
it. And it's just such an amazing thing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I personally, I think writing is one of the greatest tools that you could ever learn. I mean, besides like trying to communicate and speak your mind, which is another skill to have, like another art.
Yeah.
Writing is totally different because I feel like more people read than they watch like, videos on, inspiration or motivation or, things like that.
Yeah.
Just the amount of people reading is crazy. And if you're a writer and you are able to, give something to the world, like some of your insights and experiences, and, people read that and they really dig into it, then I mean, this could make a huge hit on your life. Just it could turn it all around.
It really could. If you get enough readers, you could like write a book. You could do so many different things. And I mean, even if you don't do any of that, even if you're just kind of getting a lot of positive feedback from people, or like, encouragement from people, that just means the world.
Yeah, and it's just like a lot of people when they start writing, the biggest like is demotivation a word or?
No, that's okay. Say it. We made it. We just made that word.
Okay. So I feel like a lot of people, try to write, but then they give up early just because it's very demotivating to them.
Yeah.
In the sense that, other people are not reading their stuff and they're not getting anywhere. It just seems just like a private diary, if anything.
Yeah.
But I just say keep going, keep pushing. If you want to try writing, head over to Medium, because Medium is still like the best platform to grow your voice as a writer. Like
Yeah.
by all means, just I really recommend Medium to like any writer because it's definitely changed the way it definitely changed my life and just how I see my direction, like what to do. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I agree totally. I'm like, why are people using WordPress? Why aren't people on Medium?
Hey, I use
And
WordPress still.
Oh yeah, no, no, yeah, but it's like that's okay if you use WordPress. But I have my own blog on WordPress too. But it's like I throw pretty much like all of my time on Medium. You know what I mean? And
Oh
like
yeah,
I would
yeah, I
probably
know what you
I
mean.
might, yeah, yeah, and like WordPress blogs are like as far as I should clarify that. Like as far as like building up your following at first, I think Medium is a great place for that. But once you have your following, I think a WordPress blog is like it can open up so many opportunities for you,
Yeah, because
that Medium doesn't.
like Medium is kind of like the tool to give you that traffic,
Hmm.
but WordPress is your own blog. It's something that it's permanent to you. So whatever you get off your blog, that's your own reward.
Yeah, you own it. Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I could talk about writing all day, Tiffany. I'll just leave it at that. So one last question for you.
sure.
If you could tell, it doesn't, you can say one word, you could say, you can talk for 5 minutes on this, whatever you want. If you could tell your college age self one thing, or give them one lesson that little Tiffany should have learned back in the day, what would that be?
Man, that's a loaded question.
Tough question, right?
If I could tell my college self one thing, it would be just do the things that you want to do. Like don't live your life for other people even though you love them so much. It's all about you and your life, and because at the end of the day, if someone leaves you, you're on your own, and
Hmm.
you are your best you are your best supporter.
Yeah,
I don't know, just like
no, that's perfect. You're your number one fan.
yeah.
You know?
Man, if I had to take that question to writing, I would take like maybe a couple hours just thinking it through and writing, editing, and all that.
Well, if anything, Tiffany, what you got out of this was, another thing to write about, so,
I know,
so
right? That's actually a good post.
yeah. I think I actually would like to take that question and run with it too. That's a very important one. I'm going to ask every one of my subjects from here on out. I'll ask them, that question. And really, thank you so much for being this first person, because I really got to iron out a
No,
lot
it's
of, I got to
totally an
iron.
honor.
Yeah. Well, I got to iron out so much stuff here, and this is kind of going to be the blueprint moving forward, and you provided that to me. So thank you so much.
No problem. And thank you for, inviting me again to this podcast.
Yeah. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure I'll be reading all of your articles and everything in the future. And I hope everyone listening checks Tiffany out.
Yeah, definitely nice to meet you for the first time here and doing this podcast for the first time. It's a very unique experience, but I like it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Tiffany. For anybody that wants to follow Tiffany on Medium, just go to medium.com/tiffany.sun. And if you also want to follow her on her personal blog, it's misstiffanysun.com, MISS Tiffanyssun.com. Anyway, we want to thank Tiffany for coming on such short notice. She was an amazing first guest. I hope you learned a lot about her and her story. If you want to find out a little bit more and get those links specifically, just go to thepostgradsurvivalguide.com. You should see a blog post with her name inside, and you'll be able to just follow her blog with a few clicks. Make sure to hit the subscribe button for this show wherever you're listening, and go to thepostgradsurvivalguide.com and enter your email address on the widget bar on your right, and you should be able to follow every single post from here on out there as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.